Hello, this is Simracing Corner. Today's video we are going to mod my brake pedal with a tactile transducer, and this is what I came up with. I did post a picture of this on the community tab a while ago and there was some interest in it, so I thought it should be I should make a video on it. So you can see it's a big old Dyson puck on here. You may remember this puck actually from a previous video. This I repurposed it from my back of the seat tactile mod, which I published quite some time ago, a popular video. I'll put a link in the description to that one because it is actually a good tactile mod. But yeah, I just borrowed it off here. I'm gonna need to get another one of these to replace that one. But yeah, I thought I'd give this a go. Yeah, so I got a bit bored and I thought this was a great idea, give it a go, just see how this works out. So the idea of adding a transducer, one of these bass shakers to the brake pedal, is for one particular effect, and that is the wheel lock-up effect. So when we brake and over-brake, lock those wheels, the bass shaker will vibrate, give me tactile feedback, and I know I've overdone it. So in a way, you actually don't want this effect to come through because you know you've done some bad braking. So, but yeah, it may be a good training tool if you struggle with braking, by having some tactile feedback. When you over brake, then you can pull back, and you'll know by if the effect is transmitting its tactile effects through your brake pedal. So I thought it was a cool effect. Yeah, not dissimilar from something like this, which is a similar sort of motor you get on Fanatec pedals. So let me just zoom in, you can see that. So look at this little tiny little fella. Yeah, I used to have Fanatec pedals, and this little type of motor on the back of those pedals, it worked, but it was so slight, it just didn't really do anything. It's basically rubbish. I don't know why they bothered, it's not a really good effect. Even with just socks, it's hard to feel, and with shoes, you're not going to feel anything. And just look at the difference in size. Big old transducer there, or biggish transducer, compared to that little fella. So yeah, quite a difference. So this should actually be a very meaningful effect. Zoom out. So I'll just show you how I planned it to fit. Well, first I'll show you the parts actually. So we have, I'm just using an 80-20 angle bracket. It's a pretty standard thing. It's used on, all over the place, so it's quite common. That is a aluminium strap for aluminium profile for connecting pieces up, and a bit of board, sort of MDF, and then with the puck on top. So you need that as an interface to connect that to that. And yeah, so I didn't put a massive amount of effort in there. You can just see my handiwork of cutting out a circle wasn't too terrible. It looks okay from that side, but yeah, a little bit rough, but it's okay. Right, so when I was thinking about this mod, the first thing I considered on my Heusinkveld pedals was to strap it on something like that, and the problem I saw with that was it's pretty close to this clutch, and the problem there was I'm bound to snag it at some point, and I didn't think that's a good idea because it means I use the clutch and I end up using the brake as well at the same time, which is no good. It's a little bit further away from the accelerator, so that's okay, but yes, I didn't think that was going to be much good, unfortunately. The other option, which would have been absolutely fine because I got enough clearance above the pedal, was to plant it sort of like that above it, but and that would have worked fine, but I think it looks a bit weird, doesn't it? So with this this bracket, I can put it in this orientation like this, which makes it quite yeah, it's not completely invisible, but it's hard to see, and I figured that was a good way to mount it. It's more discreet, it's out of the way. So yeah, that's the idea behind this. I'll get it mounted and we can test it on the table. I'll set up a bass shaker, and then we can just see what it's like, what the effect is like coming from this pedal. So let me do that now, and yeah, let's cut to that. Okay, so I'm set up here. I have the bass shaker. The bass shaker here is connected to an amp, and the amp is connected to a phone app because this is a Bluetooth amp. I'll show you what it's like because it's easier to demonstrate on the table here rather than it being on the pedal deck, because you can hear it, and we can also add water on there. You can just see it shaking around. So let me just load up this app. It's an in-app ad there running there. But okay, so here we go. Put play on here, and yeah, the extra noise is coming from the fact it's interacting with other things around the table. But yeah, if I that's what it'll be like when I got my foot on there. It's actually pretty nice. It's pretty nice feeling. It's very clear, so that's fine. And let's try some different frequencies so you can just see what it's like. So 30 to 40 I think is gives a good strong effect. A bit more buzzy as we go up to the high ranges there. So let's okay. That's well buzzy. That's 36 isn't really great, but let's 43, that'll do. Okay, so look, check that out. So we should see a bit of vibration coming through. Well, it's not really on that. Let's change it to a lower. Let's zoom in a bit. Yep, sorry about the angle, you're going to have to look up the top corner there. That's 27 Hertz. Let's move up. So 33 Hertz, and you can see there's plenty of vibrations. I can feel it through the glass as well. Yep, so that's fine. Yeah, so it's definitely going to be effective because I can definitely feel a lot of vibrations coming through it. Through my foot, it's going to be great. It's very, isolated to that. I haven't checked what it's like through the other pedals if I'm putting on the brake pedal. In fact, maybe I can check that, because let's load up the app again. Oh, one sec. It starts at a really high range and you have to manually go down. Okay. It's very good actually. It's very. I can feel it on the clutch. I can definitely, obviously, feel it more on there. Can't feel it at all on the accelerator. Yep, this is also coming through the pedal deck as well. Of course, most strongly on the brake pedal there. And SimCat is wondering what's going on here. Well, SimCat, I would explain, but you don't really understand anything, do you? Well, anyway, okay guys, well, yeah, it's actually quite good to actually test it with an app like this before you actually, mount your, or actually mount them and then use an app like this to test your bass shakers, because you can get you can work out what the best operating frequency of your bass shaker is, and then use that frequency in SimHub. So I can get this mounted, and I'll also show you my SimHub settings, so you can just see what I've done there, and yeah, and find out if it's any good. Okay guys, well that's bye bye from me and bye bye from SimCat for the moment. I need to get cracking and plant this back on the sim rig. It's absolutely working. This is Automobilista 2. In that previous short clip, I was watching the tyres lock and instantly felt the brake pedal vibrate at the same time. It was completely in sync, and when I released the brake and the tyres began to rotate again, the tactile effect immediately stops. You would have noticed earlier on the table I also have a couple of big base shakers located under the pedal deck, and what I really like about having the brake effect isolated to the brake pedal and separated from the base shaker tactile coming from below the pedal deck is there is no confusion about what tactile effect is being transmitted. It's very clearly coming from the brake pedal. Okay, let's head over to SimHub and I'll show you the software setup. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is go to the Shake It Base Shakers section over here, and in here we can see the edits profile. What we can see active are all the effects I'm using. Anything we've turned on here, anything that's grayed out I'm not using. Under the pedal deck with those two base shakers, I'm using the gear shift and road rumble effects. And only those alone. On the brake pedal, on that base shaker, I'm using the wheel lock effect. So they are isolated, they are separated effects. The wheel lock effect does not go to those other base shakers. And I'll show you how that works in a moment as well. But first, let's have a quick look in here. One thing you may need to adjust, the default setting here would be that slide will be under normal. And I raised it to 85 as I found it wasn't sensitive enough. What happened was I was applying the brake, the wheels were locking, and there was a tiny bit of lag before the effect kicked in. So depending on the game itself, you may have to adjust it. So you may find it may be oversensitive. You press on the brake pedal and it just, the effect actually activates before the brakes have locked. In that case, then you want to lower the sensitivity, and if it's the other way around, you higher the sensitivity. The other thing that you may need to do here, it depends on the base shaker you're using, because it may not be the same one as I'm using, is you may need to adjust the bass effect frequency depending on what range that your bass shaker works best at. You would just need to adjust it here, and you can find out by just testing it. But you can see I think that's default. I can't remember now, but that's what I'm setting. The setting I'm using in this game with my puck on my brake pedal. Okay, so next, let's head over to the sound output, and I'll show you how to separate the effects. Here we can see the sound cards which I'm using specifically for tactile outputs from SimHub, and you can see they're activated here again like as before. So this one here, this is the sound card on my motherboard, and that's going directly to the amp, which connects to the two bass shakers under my pedal deck. And you can see here we have some effects turned on here, but you don't really worry too much about that. One that's of interest here is the this one, the Nobe Sound amp. So that's a combined amp and sound card, which is why it does show up as a name here. And you can see it's a 2-channel sound card and a 2-channel amp, in fact. But you'll see some extra things. It just shows you lots of channels here, but you don't have to worry about any of that unless you do have an 8-channel amp. But for us, we only have 2 channels. First thing you need to do actually is the default for all this it'll probably be on corners. So to separate effects, what you need to do is click on custom, and it'll just be fill up like this, and it'll populate with loads of stuff here. It'll be a little bit of a mess, and you just have to turn everything off. And maybe I'll show you that with just this random. I'll just turn this on. It won't do anything obviously, but let me just show you. If we go to that, you can see it just shows you all these effects are just turned on, which is no good to us. So you have to actually manually turn everything off if you don't want that effect going through to your bass shaker. So, but yeah, that's just to show you that. But let's go back to my amp, which is connected to my brake pedal bass shaker. And you can see I've already done all that. So we have 2 channels, 1 and 2 channels. It does mean I can connect 2 bass shakers to this amp. And of course, I'm only using one on on the brake pedal. However, I do actually have the other channel working, because I actually have a bass shaker on the other channel connected under my gear shifter. So I'm using that gear shifter effect here, and you can see it's just separate effects. So that's going to the bass shaker under my gear shifter, and down here channel 2 is the bass shaker, which is connected to the pedal, the brake pedal. And you can see I've turned on wheel lock. And what you can do, you can change the effect here as well. You can change the volume, because if you have two different brands of bass shaker, like I do, in fact, I have a rec horn one under my gear shifter, and on the brake pedal I have the Dayton Puck. Two different, completely different bass shakers, very different power requirements. So you can just see I've turned that one down, because that's a 100 watt bass shaker. This is I think a 30 watt bass shaker max. So you can see I've just run that at 100. But yeah, that's how you separate it. And of course, if I wanted to send more different effects to this to the brake pedal shaker, I could turn some of this stuff on if I really wanted to. But I don't want to. I just want the wheel lock effect going to that. But there you go. That's how you separate effects on your bass shakers. Hopefully that all makes sense. But yeah, this wasn't meant to be a masterclass in using SimHub. Maybe I'll do something in the future, but that's how I've set this up, and it works very, very well. Before we head back onto the track for some final words, this is my ACC profile. You can see that there. And I just want to take you back to this section here. One thing I have noticed, it says locks. It says lock sensibility rather than sensitivity. I'm sure it should be sensitivity, but you can see what I've done is it's now 95 on this, and I found that I had to put it at 95 for the effect to kick in on the brake pedal when the ABS kicked in. Otherwise, I found it was just really delayed. It just didn't do anything. And if I set it at 100, I found it was overly sensitive, and it was pretty much any brake pressure was making the pedal vibrate. So I did change that here. I've also been messing around with some settings here, which you can pretty much ignore. I've just been kind of screwing around and trying different bits and pieces out. So I'm not dead set on getting, well, at least this setting right yet. It felt a bit different, actually. The rumble coming through the bass shaker in ACC does feel different to the effects coming through Automobilista 2. So yeah, again, you may have to kind of change some of these settings per game, and to do that, just create a new profile. So yeah, go to the profile manager and just you can clone an existing profile and then just make changes to it, yeah, so it's easy enough to do. But okay, so hopefully you found this useful. Let's get back onto the track. Adding this bass shaker to my brake pedal in combination with the wheel lock effect in SimHub has, for me, proved to be the most useful in practical terms. Use of tactile feedback outside of steering wheel motor force feedback. I've discovered it to be a genuinely useful driving aid. Locking the wheels usually means I've made a mistake, and getting this feedback through the strong tactile effect directly from the pedal I'm pushing against is incredibly helpful. If you lock your wheels and skid, that's something you hear through the game audio, but it's not the same thing. Physically feeling this through the pedal is another level. It's something you instinctively and immediately react to, just like how your reflexes intuitively react to the force feedback from your steering wheel. When you're about to lose the back end of your car, you feel this through the force feedback, and you make the required counter-steering corrections without thinking that much, to keep the car from spinning out. It's just something that becomes very natural. And it's the same thing with the tactile coming from the brake pedal. You lock the wheels and you instantly feel the vibrations, and you intuitively ease off the brake pressure until the vibrations cease. It's really useful. I only wish I made this modification years ago. I'm certain this mod has improved my braking in a short time, and yep, that's no lie. I feel it has made me better at braking. So of course, I thoroughly recommend this type of tactile brake mod, unless you are racing against me online, and therefore don't use it because it's terrible. No, really it is good. It's really, really great. The only thing I'll add is do make sure you do use a powerful enough shaker so the effect does come through nice and strong. The Dayton puck I'm using is a Dayton audio puck. I'll put a link in the description to that. I think it's a good choice. It's inexpensive and very effective. There's a fair chance I'll be revisiting this subject again in the future, maybe experimenting with other bass shakers on my pedals, maybe even adding one to the gas pedal, running different effects. So if you like the sound of that, be sure to stay in touch with the channel, because it is a subject I do cover now and again, bass shakers. It's an interesting subject and it's something that does interest me. Well, thanks for watching. I do post a video every couple of days, so be sure to come back soon. Thanks very much for watching, and until next time, happy simming and bye bye.